right, who's ready for a little yeehaw? Giddy up and ready to move out into some land. Put your feet up by a fire at night and wake up early to ride a horse, your horse sidekick, through the acres of your ranch. Well, today's guest helps that dream come true. Please welcome the one, the only, Mr. Kerry Fletcher. Kerry is a father, a husband, U.S. Army veteran. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your service.
Oh.
And West Point graduate. Go Navy. A wide and varied.
That's right, I forgot your
dude,
father-in-law.
you have a wide and varied career.
Yeah.
Like chemical plant manager, aluminum manufacturing manager, sales manager for HP, and CEO of a telemedicine startup, and now
Yep.
a real. I mean, do you guys call yourself realtors in the ranch world?
Yeah, I guess so. So technically, I'm in the commercial side, so we're not realtors, so I can't use that.
But what do you say? You're a real estate agent?
Yeah, real estate agent.
Well, anyway, welcome to the closing table.
Thank you. Hey, thanks for having me. That was a lot of energy there.
Yes.
That's a pretty powerful statement.
We like to bring the energy here.
That's cool.
So Carrie, where do we start? Let's talk about little Carrie.
Oh, gosh. Are you really?
Well, you sell ranches now.
Yeah.
And you grew up not in Houston, which I always give Carrie a hard time that he is the most cityfied country boy I know because he lives in the Heights.
Yep.
But you sell ranches.
Yep.
And you complain about the traffic in the city and all that other stuff,
Yeah.
but you live in the city and the traffic and all that stuff.
Well, it actually puts me in a unique position because I get to bridge both those gaps, right? And so my base clientele is not the mom and pop that live in a small town in rural Texas and they're selling their 20-acre place and moving up to a 50-acre place. That's not who I help, and that's not what I do. My, for the lack of a better term, business model is I want to be able to help people have this lifestyle, have this freedom to be able to go out, and there's a huge information gap, right? I grew up, you mentioned, I think the segue was the little Kerry. I grew up in every little small town there is in West Central Texas. I mean, little towns like Center City, Texas.
Center City is the name.
Center City.
How many people are in Center City?
There was about 8 when we lived there. 4.
Hey, shout out Center City. All you guys are listening. You got you look where you've come.
Exactly. So, and I still have friends, cousins, all over. And as I go back and I travel, I would realize that there's all this land, ranches available that you weren't going to find on the Houston MLS, that you weren't going to find. And also, people would probably be pretty afraid to just jump in and jump into that world. So I do things along the lines of trying to teach, coach people about that process, what it's like.
You're a consultant.
So they feel comfortable with making that decision and jumping forward.
Let's go back to little Kerry.
Yeah,
You're
Kerry.
born in what city?
I was actually born in South Oak Cliff in the hood, in the Methodist hospital there. And
South Oak Cliff, where's that?
South Oak Cliff, Dallas.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So literally in the bad side of Dallas, my grandmother.
No offense to all you South Oak Cliff listeners.
I assure you, there's not many of them. And even if they are, they would all agree. I'm
sure they're tuned into this guy in Houston.
Again, that would be about 50 years ago. So you have to imagine then. But the point was my grandmother grew up on a tiny little farm in. Golly, why am I forgetting it? It's anyway, it's in between Gatesville and Hamilton, a little bitty cotton farm. But she lived in Dallas and she suffered from tuberculosis, so she was pretty much bedridden. And my mom always wanted to marry a farmer, and so after they got married, we lived in little bitty towns: Stephenville, Brownwood, Early, Goldthwaite, Center City. You name it. And
why were you moving so much?
Yeah, I would ask that. I would ask that question of my dad.
It wasn't military.
No, it wasn't military. My dad he always had kind of new jobs. Was young in his career.
And what was his industry?
He was a banker.
Okay.
He was
How do you move that many from bank to bank? Like I feel like that's like you have to like.
It was promotions.
Okay.
Mostly it was opportunity.
Small town banks or big?
Yeah, small town. Everything was small town.
So promotion is to a bigger town?
Yeah, to a bigger town, bigger job. A couple of the moves we made just was to be closer to family. Like when my grandfather died, the last few years he took a job there in Stephenville to be next to my grandfather until he passed, and then moved to a different one. Yeah, it's kind of odd that we moved around so much.
So when was the last place you kind of stayed before you went off to college?
Rockdale, and that's where my family still is. And
what, Rockdale High School? Was that the school?
Yep, Rockdale High School. And so if
graduated with summa cum laude?
No, I didn't even graduate with in the honors.
Nor did I, dude. In high school, I bet you were like me. In high school, I literally did not care about grades. Like zero. It was 100% social activity.
Yep.
And really college was too. And then when I got my MBA, that was the only time in my life that I've cared about. And that was like, I chose to go to school. All of it was like, I was just following the path, which here's a question for you real quick.
Yeah.
But right in the middle of this, because it just kind of came to my head. Gary Vee talks a lot about this, about like college is the most overrated institution in the country.
Yep.
Do you agree with that? Like, because the American ideal is you go to high school, you go to a good college, you get a job. But the reality is, how many jobs do you take? You're in real estate. You've had 85 other jobs that you actually use your degree for.
Yeah,
except for Kayla, who's our videographer, and she's using her degree. But yes,
I'm sort of torn about that. I get and understand the sentiment, especially the value, right? The price of, because I've got two kids that are going to college, and I don't feel like it's nearly the value that it was, 20 some odd years ago when I went. I still haven't given up on it yet. My daughter is studying to be a computer engineer.
So that makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. But if I were to look back, during my lifetime, I placed way too much value on college education. And
you meaning, so you did good in college then?
I did good.
Wait a second. Let me just think about this. So actually, wait real quick. So moving on to your life, you went to West Point, which is not easy to get into.
No.
So you had to have somewhat good grades.
Yeah. So I still to this day think that there's some Kerry Fletcher out there that's like, I had everything. I had all the grades. And then I don't know what happened. Now, so I was...
Did you only apply to West Point?
Yeah, that was the only school. Because...
What in the world?
Here's why. This is a great story about my dad. So my dad was paying for my brother's school, and it was like, okay, well, if I'm paying for the school, you're following my rules. And I was like, no, but hell no. I hated that. And I was like, so I had this conversation with him. I was like, well, Dad, I'm doing pretty good. I think I want to go to this school, that school, blah, blah, blah. And he turns around and looks at me. And to this day, he denies it. But I remember it because it was one of those defining moments. He looked at me and said, sounds great, son. How are you planning on paying for it? And kind of like from that moment on, I was like, oh, yeah. Snap, I probably should have some sort of plan. So I joined the National Guard while I was still in high school. I went to basic training in between my junior and senior
year. So did you have fun in high school?
Oh, yeah. Okay. I had a blast.
Okay.
More fun than I probably should have.
Okay.
But I went to basic training, and my plan was to...
Basic training of...
U.S. Army.
Okay. So when you do that, you're locked in for 4 years.
Yeah, yes, no. I was locked in. I had an enlistment commitment with the National Guard, but my plan was I was going to do that basic training, do my AIT, which is the advanced, after I graduated, go to Texas A&M. I was going to be in the Corps. I was going to be in the Corps.
Corps cadet. I would have never made it, but...
I was, because I had already done basic training, it would have set me up to be successful in getting a scholarship, plus I would have gotten paid from the National Guard and done the green to gold.
You were thinking
program.
Way more in advance than I was, I'll tell you that.
So, it was more along the lines of...
You didn't want to...
When I left, I wanted it to be on my own terms.
Yeah, got it. So you went to West Point.
Instead.
And give me a quick summary of what your West Point experience was, even though you don't know how you got in.
It was a great place to be from.
Right.
It's a great place to be from.
And it's great to be on your resume, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily that great to be at.
But I feel like, that is the one thing. The one thing that I would give people that, like, especially go to college, is the fact that you finish college, even if you don't go into the field, which I don't know. I don't know what the stat is on that. Like how many people actually are in the field that their degree was in?
Unless it's almost none, right?
No,
unless
I mean,
you go to a specialty.
I mean, mine was
school
in
like
business, and I guess I'm in business, so I mean, that makes sense. But and that's a very general topic. But how many of them actually do that? But I think the one thing it is like you finish, you don't fail out. Mm-hmm. You're a 20-something. You're pushed with all the social stuff, the party scenes, all that stuff, and you still somehow get across the finish line and get your degree, and that gives you the confidence that you can do anything.
Right.
And so West Point is not, I feel like that's way more, finishing there feels like a checkpoint. Like that's like, wow, that you did something. Yeah,
it's good, but it's one of those things that, like anything in life, no one cares about yesterday. It's what are you doing for me today? You know, what's your plan for the future? So,
but I'm sure that it's brought you credibility to lots of people.
It got me to this table here.
I'm not. You're not here because of you're a West Point grad. I know that about you. But what? Did you have any funny stories that happened at West Point that aren't too crazy long?
No, because there's some long stories, but there's some good ones. It's not all.
Then what was the hardest part about West Point?
The hardest part was deciding not to quit, like anything in life. You know, I reached a point somewhere my freshman year where I was really struggling. I was like, well, I may fail. Yep. They may, kick me out, but they're not going to eat me, and I'm not going to quit. And so I'm not going to make it easy on them. And I think that was just the hardest part. But I think that's the hardest part about anything in life, whether it's being married or, doing well in your career, just deciding that this is not something that you're going to quit on. Yeah.
By the way, we'll get to it in a second. I usually have you give a rating for the drink of choice, or I give a rating of your drink of choice. Today we chose, I was like, I haven't had anyone on here who's chose, I don't know what episode we're on now, but has chose whiskey, which, I mean, I'm a bourbon, I wouldn't say I'm a connoisseur, but I like bourbon.
No, I describe you as a bourbon snob.
You do think so?
Yeah, you and that whole group. Okay. Bourbon snobs.
But Carrie's like, I want the good stuff. Yeah. So I brought.
It's like if I'm going to drive all the way out here in the afternoon traffic, I want the good. Bring the good stuff.
And Ryan. I brought Blanton's, which is my in bottle, and Blanton's is a bourbon out of single barrel bourbon, Blanton Distilling Company, which is with Buffalo Trace, where Pappy and all the other stuff come from. You haven't been out there yet either.
No, not
but
yet.
Anyway, it's a unique bottle. It's nice. It tastes good. We'll get a review here in a second. But
it's good.
I mean, I'm going to get a review. It's my bottle. So there you go. But we have your Cooper family bottle here from Hill Country area.
No, it's a Ledbetter. So if you're going 290 between Brenham and Austin, just outside of Giddings, a little town of Ledbetter. Yep. And it's just a family distillery there. And they don't go through the distributors and stuff. So whenever I'm driving through, I pick up a couple of bottles. This one happens to be my mother-in-law's favorite. It's a limited edition, aged about 10 years, single barrel rye whiskey.
Dude, so one of the things I love about you is that you don't keep any whiskey in your house, right?
No, don't keep any whiskey.
Because it leads to trouble.
Yeah, it leads to trouble.
Got it. I don't have that rule. Maybe I should instill that rule. But the thing I love is that you go drink bourbon with your mother-in-law.
Yep.
Does Drew drink?
No, not really. I mean, wine, some beer, but
no bourbon.
No.
But your mother-in-law drinks.
My mother-in-law, yeah.
And does she drink anything but bourbon, or when she drinks alcohol?
She mainly just drinks. If it's just her, she drinks Canadian Mist, Canadian Club. Kind of very affordable. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, how does she? So I mean, you gave her she drank Blanton's.
Oh yeah.
What does she think of that compared to Canadian Club?
She loves it.
Okay.
Right? But we keep it as sort of a special thing. Whenever I come over, she'll drink it when I'm out there with her.
Right.
And I'll go out and I'll have a glass with her.
Right.
And then I'll switch to beer or, something else. And now we've gotten quite the collection up over the last couple of years.
Yeah. And I have, of the tops, it spells out Blanton's. Mm-hmm. I realize I'm 2 away from having the whole thing. I have a buddy, Eric, who was on the first podcast ever, and he has he was a coach at University of Kentucky, and they gave him a barrel, whatever that would be, like just one piece of wood from there, but it had all the Blantons, because he's from from Kentucky.
Kentucky.
So
Yeah.
anyway, the best part about you is your wife.
Yeah.
You have been, how long have you been married now?
Going on our 5th year.
5th year. And Drew is amazing. If you don't know, if you need a good real estate agent in the city, Drew Mims, she's awesome. Yep. But tell us about your transition. I mean, you were, well, first tell us, how did you and Drew meet, by the way? Oh boy. Can I say that here?
Yeah, sure. Okay. It's an open secret.
Yeah.
We met on Tinder.
Okay.
So,
and Tinder is the,
it's a dating app,
but it's the like normal one. It's not the like hookup one.
Yeah, it's the normal
well,
one.
they have, dude, there's so many, Becca, my ops manager, she's, she's single and some of her friends, they're on, I mean, there are so many.
Yeah.
And they all have like a thing. They are like
a niche.
One's like a one night stand one. One's a serious, we know this one's for serious relationships.
Yeah.
One's for kind of in between, whatever. So I don't know what Tinder is. Is Tinder still going on now?
I haven't,
because I haven't heard that one in a while.
I've gotten off. I mean, obviously, we 7 years ago. You know, when we met, married.
You're not on it anymore.
No, I'm not on it
good.
anymore.
True, that's a good thing.
Couldn't keep you.
She didn't let you keep the count.
But I was living in Arizona at the time. But I was paying the extra money to kind of present myself anywhere, and I was.
Are you kidding me? You can do that?
Yeah,
you can be like, I live in New York?
Yeah.
Well, no.
Yeah,
wait,
you can.
So they let you do that?
If you pay them money, yeah, it's an extra revenue stream for them.
But wait, no, I got to go back to this. So if you pay them the money, they allow you to lie and say you live in New York? Or they just allow
not live, so that would be in your
it.
profile, but just I happen to be located here, wherever. So I did my pin drop in Houston because I was moving to Houston.
They allow people to let you be seen in those cities.
Right, because it's
So you can actually target your audience for dating.
Exactly.
Holy cow,
because
man.
I was going to be moving. I didn't want to have a relationship with somebody in Phoenix, right?
You knew you were coming back to Houston.
I knew I was coming to Houston.
Man, yeah, Lauren and I, when we got married, we've been married going on 13 years, we didn't have that there. At our time, it was eHarmony.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? And it wasn't like there was no app. They didn't even have apps when, it was like purely.
I think Tinder was one of the first apps.
eHarmony was like you go online.
You swipe right.
Oh, that's what it is. That's what. Okay, wow. But y'all met there, and then it just hit it off. And
you guys, I know we're trying to keep it time, and I know I can talk, but it's sort of a long story. But we would. It just happened pretty easily. We would talk for hours at a time at night.
Yep.
And then finally, after a couple of weeks, and if she ever hears this, she'll probably get mad at me for saying the story. But she goes, rodeo's coming up, and I'm a captain of the rodeo, and I need to know if this is going somewhere because I've got options. So
so she gave you an ultimatum.
Yeah. So she's like, I'm gonna. Cause I couldn't travel.
Right.
I was restricted, busy. So she hopped on a plane, came out and met me. And we spent 17 hours was our first date. We drove all over the state of Arizona to Sedona and Grand Canyon, and then back to Phoenix. It was a long day.
So you tell me about your transition from. I mean, you were plant manager, sales manager, HP, telemedicine. I know that kind of whatever happened with that, and then you went into real estate.
My wife was just killing it.
Right.
Well, she was girlfriend at the time, but she was just killing it. And I always was like, I don't want to get into real estate, blah, blah, blah. I want to do this other stuff. The company ended. I had a bad ending with my previous company. My boss, mentor, business partner died unexpectedly. But also it was just a rough lifestyle. I mean, I remember I had to change all my plans and travel to Vietnam in a 48-hour period, right? Because there was a client that I needed to go see. And I was going all over the world in several different countries. And I had kids back at home, moving, needed to be there for them. So I felt like it was really a much better lifestyle. And then plus get a chance to work with Drew during that time too.
Got it. And then you got in, so you went into resident real estate. And so let me ask you a question.
Sure.
You got Drew with the Mims Group.
Yep.
Who's was a girlfriend at the time when you joined? No, y'all were married.
No, we got married. Then we formed our LLC, formed our group, did all that.
So but when did you actually start selling real estate?
After we were married.
Okay. So you got in that game and you did residential for how long?
2 years.
Till what time?
I don't know. 2 years. About 2 years.
But I mean, till what time did you stop? Like really moving? I'm done with residential. I'm moving completely to commercial. And
that was a year ago. About a year ago
from
today.
Today?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
About a year ago today.
Wow. Then you've done. Wow, that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What made you go? All right. So you did the 2 year. And for those out there that are like thinking about ever going into real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Because you did, I mean, you guys are not like, hey, we're buying leads and we're converting. I mean, you were just like old school open houses.
Open house.
Your sphere, who
That
you know,
did.
all that stuff. And I know open house was your big thing and then COVID hit and whatever. But for the like new agents that are out there that are like considering getting into real estate and they don't have like, leads coming into them or whatever, like what did you do to survive?
Yeah. So it's a great question. Not only did I not have a sphere of influence, but because of the way my company ended, the people that I did know in Houston really didn't want to talk to me. So,
wow.
So I had to kind of just go from scratch. And literally, if you go in and do open houses and you're disciplined about it and you're smart about it and you ask the right questions and, I taught you can make a living and you can build a book of business just doing that. Real estate.
Just open houses, yeah.
Just open houses.
Which then allows you to build your sphere and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. And we used my open houses to grow both of our businesses because I was actually getting more listing leads than it was buyer leads. Because what happens is people go to an open house, they're like kicking the can. They're like, we don't know, but we still have to sell our house. I'd be, that's great. Do you want to have, somebody come out and take a look and talk to you? And then boom. And then Drew would go in and do those.
Sweet. So what made you go, all right, I don't want to do residential anymore. I want to move into land and ranch, farm and ranch.
Yeah. So I was back in San Saba, Texas.
Back in where?
San Saba, Texas.
Say it one more time.
San Saba.
How big is that town? Because I've never heard of it.
Ooh, that's only about 1,500, 1,200 people.
Gosh, why were you back in San Saba, Texas?
Well, that's where we hold our family reunion every year, right on the San Saba River.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. And
does it have water flowing there now?
Yeah, and it feeds into the Colorado.
Okay.
And so it's about 2 hours northwest of Austin.
Yep.
And great town. You need to go there. But I was just driving by and I saw one of these flyers that they have at like the grocery store, right? The grocery store, the convenience store.
Yep.
And there was all these big time ranches, $8 million, $16 million. And there wasn't advertised in them. And there wasn't a website. There wasn't like a, hey, come, check me out here. It was just completely, it looked like this is the only advertisement for this $8 million ranch. And I'm like, okay, this is an opportunity because I know everybody. I don't know everybody, but I know people in San Saba. I know people in Goldthwaite. I know people over in Brady. I got cousins. My coach, now he's a real estate agent over there. And I know this. And I'm like, I know there's a whole bunch of people in Houston that would love to know about these places.
Which, pause for a second. What you just described is what most people need to pay attention to because a lot of people are like, they're in a job and they don't know, they want to do something besides what they're at. And they come across a situation like you're in. And this is what people need to be looking out for when you're like, hey, what do I do next? How can I get out of what I'm in and do actually what I love? You saw an opportunity that you're basically solving a problem. You're going, hey, an $8 million ranch is being promoted in a magazine and it has no website. Did it have a phone number?
No, phone number.
Okay.
Yeah, call the guy.
But basically horrible marketing effort. And you went and saw that opportunity. You're like, hey, I can solve this problem and created a business out of it.
Yep.
And that's entrepreneurship 101. And most people just don't look for that. They're like, hey, I want the easy way. I want the whatever. And then you did what you're supposed to do.
So, everybody knows how miserable holding open houses are. You dress up in some sort of suit and jacket, and it's Houston.
Depends on what kind of open house you run, but yeah, sure.
Well, I try to do as fancy ones as I could. So, and it's sweaty and it's hot, and you're driving around putting all these signs, and you're just sort of miserable, right? Well, imagine going and showing a ranch. you're out in the rain, it's cold or it's hot, but you're just loving it, man, because you're driving around in your UTV. I stop at Buc-ee's every
You
time.
said UTV versus ATV.
Yeah, ATV is like an all-terrain vehicle, like a four-wheeler
Right.
or something that you would race.
Right.
A UTV is a utility vehicle.
Right.
So I've got a big six-seater Polaris.
Yep.
And I always stop at Buc-ee's, fill it up with some Coors Light, some some White Claws.
Man, this is so much more fun than when I'm showing houses.
And some water and some ice. Hit the road, pick up the UTV and the trailer.
White Claw. So people who buy ranches drink White Claws.
Women do, sure.
Okay, got it. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, because it's a family decision, right? You got water for the kids.
No men drink White. I know many men that drink White Claws, by the way. I actually think I might have seen you drink a White Claw before.
Yeah, one or two.
All right.
And so it's raining and it's just sort of hot, and you're dealing with the trailer. But then you stop and think, man, if I was out holding an open house right now, I would be miserable. And this is kind of fun.
Unless you have mimosas at your open house.
Unless you have mimosas.
Yes. So right. But basically that was what made you go, okay, I want to get into that game.
Well, it was just more the appreciation of, hey, I made the right choice. This is something that I can do well in and enjoy the lifestyle of it as well.
And that's part of it. Like, you enjoy what you do.
I enjoy what I do.
Did you not enjoy what you did when you were?
I did, but it was but work.
You really enjoy this.
Yeah, I really enjoy it.
Like that style of life and whatever.
Right.
So here's I got a question. COVID hit. When COVID hit, besides the housing market, which, by the way, and I don't remember where you were at when COVID. It's like, where were you? The Alan Jackson song, but it's like they need to make a "Where were you when COVID hit" song. But when COVID hit, I was like, okay, I'm probably going to need to go get another job because no one's going to buy houses. We can't even show the houses. We're going to be in hazmat suits. I don't know what's going to happen. And then real estate did literally the complete opposite, and it went absolutely nuts and was the best 2 years in real estate we've ever had. But for the ranch world, especially, and the houses that are still, and we're out of the I mean, are we officially out of the pandemic?
I think so.
Okay. I mean, we're
on to the next
Some
crisis.
people are still wearing masks, but yes. Pandemic hits, and then the houses that still today that are selling well, for me, and I'm in residential real estate, is the ones that are like big yards, pools. It's the living, like your house is like, I could live here. I could be stranded on a planet with this house, and I'm going to love my life. And that kind of still transferred to ranch and farm. And why do you, I guess here's a question, like when that hit, what did you feel from that?
So I was still strictly doing residential when it first hit, and I was predominantly driving my business through open houses. So I had some active buyers that I'd already picked up. Right. And so and if you remember, everything took a pause there for about a month and a half, 2 months. About a month and a half, so I still remember, by the way, we would have at the door, booties, mask, hand sanitizer, and gloves. And it was like, and then you had to tell the agent to wipe all the handles off when you're done with the showing. It's like, wow. Yeah. So I was still doing residential at that time, and my business was driven by the open houses. So for me, I was like, okay, I've got to, there's not going to be a better time to kind of make the change. Right. So I had some active buyers, was able to get them under contract, get them closed, and then transition on, because I didn't have the listings. I still didn't have the sphere of influence, and really sort of buckled down on creating my YouTube channel on land and ranch living. And that's what sort of got me. By the way, there we go. He was like, I don't have a YouTube channel, and I don't have Instagram, and I don't have all that, but he does have it. I do have. So I stalk on Instagram, I'll send you funny. I see you like my posting. I'll see you funny memes, and I'll but I haven't posted. But your YouTube channel is what I do. Is Texas and ranch living, right? I don't even know the name of it. It's like random. How do you not know the name of it when you've got 3,000 followers and you're getting 40,000 views a video? Well, so that's a good question, because the name of your channel isn't really as significant. I want to say it's Land and Ranch Living or something like that. but I don't know. And I never give people my channel.
Yeah.
The questionnaire asks, give us a link to all your stuff. I'm like, no, not going to do it. If people want to find me, it's real easy. Just search for me.
Yep.
Search for me on YouTube. Don't search for Kerry Fletcher. Just ask questions that you want to know about ranch living.
Right.
Where's the best place to buy in Texas?
Yep.
Where's the best place to buy a ranch? How much does it cost to own a ranch?
We'll get to YouTube in just a second. So COVID hit,
That's when I started really focusing on,
because you realized that was going to happen.
Yeah, because I needed another reliable source of.
So you start because you realized people that were going that direction of buying ranches.
Well, that and more along the lines of I did not know when I was going to be able to hold open houses again.
Right.
I didn't know when I was going to be able to build that business again.
So let me ask you, where are most people coming from that are buying? Is it more people that are in Texas that are buying ranches and farmland and all that stuff, or is it people coming from other states? Who has the majority right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's always this large number of people coming from elsewhere.
Right.
But from a pure number standpoint, it's still people who live within the cities that are moving out.
Got it.
Okay.
And then what are they wanting? Are they wanting a house? Are they just wanting the land? Or what are the most people that you come in contact with wanting to buy?
Yeah, the vast majority of them want the classic ranchette. They want 5 to 20 acres, eventually want to build a home on it. They want an inflationary hedge, right? And
Explain what that is for people who don't know what that is.
They want to be able to put their money into something that's going to remain pace with inflationary gains.
Sure.
Right?
Got
Their
it.
money's not going to lose value.
Sure.
And they want to be within 2-hour drive of a major metropolitan area. And mainly they just want to be able to do what they want to do. If they want to shoot their guns, or if they want to, do whatever,
ride four-wheelers or whatever. Yeah.
Ride four-wheelers. They just want to be able to pack up the kids and go and live how they want to live.
Got
And the largest portion of it is they just want to be able to have an escape. They want to be able to go out, have an escape.
Which they kind of scared them through COVID that they didn't have the escape. Right. Or besides Houstonians or city folks moving out to the ranches, what other states are coming in and buying it
All
the
of
most?
Them. All of them.
Okay.
But
every single person in America is moving
but all the states
are moving to Texas.
California, Washington, Virginia.
I grew up in Virginia, by the way, and there's plenty of ranch land out there, but it's expensive.
And also it's different.
Yeah, you're right.
It's different.
Yeah.
I used to live in the Commonwealth of Virginia as well. It's just
yes, you can refer to it as the Commonwealth as well.
it's just different. I give people, my clients, people that come, I give them this book. It's GTT, Gone to Texas.
Yep.
It's the outlaw Josie Wales. It's like back in the 1860s, 1870s, people would just leave and they would carve into their doors, whenever family or other people came, they would just see GTT across it, meant Gone to Texas. And Texas still has that draw from people all over of being this light on a hill on a light on a hill. Well, it's like if I go out there and I get land, I can go do what I want to go do.
Well, I'm a Virginian, but I actually grew up in the country too. But I moved to Texas, and to me, it was like a huge step up. And this was, oh my gosh, 22 years ago when I moved to go, to come here. I went to A&M, whatever, and when I moved here, it was, I've stayed. And we moved to California, and it was still went to California, and that was before California went crazy. But when we were there, we came back because we were like, man, Texas was great. Pause real quick. Rating for the Blanton's drink of choice.
Oh man, 10 out of 10.
All right, there you go. Congrats.
Thank you.
Thanks for bringing this on and allowing me to have a whiskey on my little podcast or whatever.
Of course.
Couple questions. If someone was interested right now in starting to buy land, and they're like, hey, I want to buy land and I want to one day build, I want to have it big enough where I can drive four-wheelers, have a horse on there. Where would you start? Where would you go? What city? A quick thought on where that would be.
That's a great question. If you're you, I would say Washington County.
Which is
Brenham, Chapel Hill.
Okay.
Round Top's just outside of it. As a matter of fact, I just did a video on that for that reason.
And is it got like some hills, or is it just?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So it's in what's called the Post Oak Savannah.
Yep.
Again, if you want to check out my video on all the different eco regions, no, but I go through and explain which ones. It's got rolling hills, beautiful sunset.
Our buddy Steve has a property on Round Top. Yeah.
Large oak trees, and it has generally good water. That's one of the things is people are like, oh, I want to go to Fredericksburg. I want to go. It's like, well, you're going to have to deal with water.
Because it's bad water there?
No, once you cross I-35, it's hit or miss whether you can dig a well.
Why?
Okay, because this is a long answer. So east of I-35 is generally there's what's called water tables.
Right.
So,
yes.
Right. Well, if I have a well and you have the property next to me, you generally know where the level of the water is.
Right.
Well, if you go out west of I-35, there's pockets. You can miss a pocket of water by as much as 20 feet. I just had some property out in Richland Springs, which is in San Saba County. Two of them, they weren't more than a half a mile apart. One of them had a well that would push out 1,000 gallons a minute, no problem. Right. And the other one could barely get 5 gallons a minute.
Got it.
And it was just because of the different mechanical structures of the underlying limestone. There'd be these caverns.
This is why people need to use you, because I would have no idea what this is.
There's these caverns where water gets pushed up from the aquifers and fill. And if you're not right above or know where one of those caverns are, then you're just not going to have drinking water. And because there's been so much growth out there, you can't expand a lot of the municipal water in that area.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. That's like a whole different world. So Washington County.
Yeah, Washington County.
It's about
an hour from downtown Houston.
And what are you looking at? Like average acreage?
It depends, how improved it is, what part of town, but generally you're talking about a minimum 35,000 an acre.
And then what are most people buying? Like they're looking for the scenario that I described?
Yeah, they're looking for somewhere between 8 and 15 acres.
So that's going to cost you $250K.
Yep.
And then
however much for improvements.
Right.
So, go ahead.
What's the most sought after right now in Texas?
What do you mean?
What area is the most sought after in Texas?
Sure.
For farm, ranch, whatever.
So I always do this on my Zoom calls. I go into Google Earth, but there's a big triangle that's formed between Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, and San Antonio. Mm-hmm. That's called sort of the Golden Triangle.
Right.
Most people want to be in there. And then if you were to do a subset of that, because there's so much growth in Austin, San Antonio, and Houston, there's a little pie shape between the 290, I-10, and I-35. It makes like a triangle. That would be the best of the best. That would be higher than the broader,
So if you wanted to get in the Golden Triangle.
The Golden Triangle.
And then if you wanted like 5 acres, you're looking at how much?
Well, again, Washington County is in that, and it's probably on the higher end. So places like Round Top can go up to 50, 60,000 an acre,
right?
Depending upon the acreage. I saw 10-acre plots in and around Round Top that were going for 100,000 an acre.
But you're basically looking at like 300 to 500,000.
Yeah.
Okay. You could make it happen. So for someone's this could be a reality. That's what it is. Yeah. And then what's the availability? Like, is there a lot of availability or no availability? No availability. So So if someone wants it, they've got to immediately get in touch with a realtor like yourself and real estate agent like yourself and say, here's what I want. And the minute you find it, give me a call.
Real world story. This client reaches out to me on YouTube. I talk to him. I find exactly what him and his wife are looking for. And I go to him and I say, look, guys, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm not trying to rush you into a decision, but this is the place. It just came on the market. There's multiple offers. It was like $800,000, but it was exactly what they wanted, just outside of Burton, Brenham area. And they looked at it and they said, well, it's our first one. I showed them a whole bunch of others, and they sort of paused, right?
Right.
That was 3 months ago. have another call with him. I'm like, hey, you know, what are you talking about? And he goes, well, we just keep thinking about that first property you showed me. And I'm like, yeah, if you see it and it's a good deal, you better go.
Yeah.
Because
which is, I mean, it's similar to residential, but yeah. Is it faster than residential?
What do you mean faster?
Meaning like not how long the transaction takes, but how quickly you need to move. Like
it's the same. So Texas A&M put out a study. I know Giga Maggie's, right?
Yep. Except for last week when we played Appalachian State, but yes. Yeah.
So between 2000 and 2010, the average price per acre across the state of Texas doubled. Between 2010.
Say that again now?
Between 2000 and 2010, the average price per acre across the state of Texas doubled.
Yep.
Between 2010 and 2020, again, Texas A&M source, not me, it doubled again. Between 2020 and 2022, the price doubled again. What was normally on a 10-year cycle is now happening or was happening on a 2-year cycle. Things are going that fast. Nobody's selling. If anybody's got it, I had
Kayla,
clients.
that's our Instagram reel right there. That's amazing. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you a couple questions. Thanks, dude. First off, coming on. Next part that I have, and by the way, if anybody needs farm and ranch advice from you, where can they find you? Because you're not giving your information away. So where can they find you?
Yeah, just go on YouTube and ask YouTube any question. It's its own search engine.
Right, I get that, but how do they find you? I want people to find you.
Oh, they'll find me. They'll see me. I have 60 to 80% of the suggested videos on any of the questions about land and ranch.
So go look,
and you'll see this face on all the thumbnails.
And you're wearing that hat.
No, I've got.
And by the way, the reason why we're not wearing headphones today is because you're wearing that hat, and I have to not know how I sound right now. So
that's okay. You sound wonderful.
Thank you.
I'm close enough to tell.
Kerry Fletcher, Texas Farm Ranch, YouTube,
and just go down. Do you want me to explain the reasons why?
No, you're good. You said they'll find you, but you are findable if like someone was to search on Google, Kerry Fletcher, real estate.
Yeah, search on YouTube would be better.
By the way, just a little advice.
Not real estate. Don't say Kerry Fletcher real estate. No, don't say Kerry Fletcher. Don't say real estate. Just ask YouTube any kind of question you want to know about land and ranch.
In Texas.
And
they'll find you.
And they'll find me.
Okay.
I have no doubt about it.
All right. I like the
If not, I ask them to call you.
I like the confidence. All right. Yeah. I did a section of my podcast called Rapid Fire Questions.
Sure.
First part of Rapid Fire is 2 options. You get 2 options. You can only pick one of the 2 options.
It's rapid fire questions, not rapid fire answers, though, right?
It's rapid fire answers.
Okay.
So you get 2 options. Are you ready?
Yeah.
You pick one of the 2 options very quickly. Work or play?
Play.
Love or friendship?
Love.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
Cat or dogs?
Dogs.
By the way, can I tell you a quick story?
That's not even. No, when are you going to throw some hard ones in there?
Carrie had a dog that he found, and we have this group of friends that we're in a little text thread with, and he tells me, "Hey, we found this dog. We're keeping it." Finds out the dog's pregnant.
Yep.
The dog ends up having
9 puppies.
9 puppies. They decide to keep all of the puppies, and he's texting us through the middle of the night as these dogs are he's on the phone with. Well, it's this app called Voxer where you can hear the messages. He's voxing us and telling us, "Oh, whoa, hang on a second. Here comes number 8." And we're like, and then he's like, by the next 2 months, he's like, "Anybody want to buy a puppy? Anybody want a puppy? Anybody puppy? I need a puppy. Somebody buy a puppy."
They were like a swarm of locusts that just went through the house, tearing up, consuming everything.
Do you still keep that dog that was pregnant?
Oh, yeah. She's beautiful.
Is she fixed now?
Yeah.
They're all not going through that again. All right. Salty or sweet?
Salty and sweet.
Do you shower in the night or in the morning?
In the morning.
Physical strength or mental strength?
For what?
Anything, life in general.
Well, mental's always going to get you further.
Right. Do you prefer social time or alone time?
Social. Alone time's like that. They call it solitary confinement for a reason.
Fresh food or fried food?
Depends on the food, but I'll go with fresh.
Are you more a person to cannonball into the pool or dip a toe in first?
Cannonball.
Okay. I like it. All right, now here we go. This is funny. Do you have your own Netflix account or are you using somebody else's?
Well, we have a family account, Now they've got those little profiles.
Yep.
I've got my own, but I never use it. I always just use my wife's.
What's your go-to karaoke song?
Brown Eyed Girl by
Van Morrison.
Van Morrison. You're my brown eyed girl. Do
What?
you remember when?
Yep. This is a podcast, not a Apple Music. What do you collect? Anything you collect?
Wow. No.
Do you have a hidden?
Wait. Hold on a second. My son's here. What do I collect?
All right.
No.
Now we're going to move to just random questions, but they have to be at least one sentence. What dish do you cook best?
Well,
Nope. It's a quick question. Yeah. What dish do you cook best?
pulled pork.
There you go. What's your favorite board game?
Oh, it's this cool one. It's called Cash Flow. It's by
I know that. It's by Rich Dad Poor Guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a great game. I'm trying to teach my kids that game.
Yeah, me too.
You should check that out. What's your favorite Disney character?
Yeah, I haven't been on the Disney thing in a while. The Incredibles, the dad in
Yep.
the Incredibles, he's probably my favorite
Okay.
off the top of my head.
Next question. What's your favorite holiday?
Christmas.
What's your least favorite holiday?
I don't know a holiday that I don't like. Least favorite? President's Day.
What is President's Day? Just a celebration of all the presidents?
Yeah, but they try to do it around George Washington and Abraham Lincoln's birthday.
Okay. Do you kill bugs you find inside or you take them outside?
No, I kill 'em.
All right, you kill them inside.
Yeah,
Do you prefer driving or flying?
driving.
Do you learn by watching or learn by doing?
Doing.
Are you street smarts or book smarts?
I would prefer to be street smart, but I'm more book smart.
Last question, and it's a question I always leave last, is you have 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Time is gone. So like if you want to be somewhere, you're there. Money is no object.
Mm-hmm.
You have an endless amount of money. You have 24 hours. Where would you go? What would you do?
Wow, great question. I really enjoyed going to Thailand for a honeymoon with my wife, and we would kind of like to do that. But one of the things we're thinking about is going back to the Holy Land and doing. But you couldn't do that in 24 hours.
Well, don't worry about flying, but Holy Land, you got 24 hours. That's where you would go.
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as I could can I take my wife?
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Okay.
Because if I did that trip and without her, I'd be in trouble.
Yeah, I would assume. Hey guys, thanks again for checking us out. Thank you, Kerry Fletcher, the Kerry Fletcher.
Thank you, Ryan Adams.
You're awesome, man. I appreciate it. If you need farm land advice, give Carrie a call, which they don't know your number because you won't give it out, but they'll find you if you go to YouTube, search Texas Land and Ranch, Kerry Fletcher. He'll come up. Thank you to our listeners for joining us. We're on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube, the video version. Leave us a review. Subscribe to us if you're not. And we will see you next time on the closing table. Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.